Hey guys, tonight we're slipping into the dusty, torchlit streets of ancient Rome, where ambition burns brighter than the midday sun. Picture yourself standing on a cobblestone path, the air thick with the scent of olive oil lamps and freshly baked bread from a nearby stall. Sandals slap against stone, togas swish, and somewhere, a senator is scheming, his big idea. A paint that glows in the dark, a shimmering trick to make his name eternal. You're right there in the heart of it, where every whisper carries a plot and every shadow hides a rival. Honestly, with all the backstabbing in Rome, you probably wouldn't survive a week. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe. But only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Drop a comment with your city and time zone. I love knowing where you're drifting off from tonight. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You're weaving through Rome's crowded forum, where merchants hawk spices and poets shout verses like they're auditioning for a TikTok trend. The sun's dipping low, painting the marble columns gold, but your eyes are on a man in a pristine toga, his brow furrowed with purpose. This is Lucius Vaunus, a senator with a knack for standing out. He's not your average politician, more like a Roman Elon Musk, minus the toga-themed Tesla. Lucius has a wild idea, a paint that glows like starlight, something to make his villa the talk of the empire. You can almost hear his thoughts buzzing as he strides past a temple, muttering about outshining his rivals. The Senate's a snake pit, and Lucius wants his name to gleam, literally. You catch a whiff of his ambition, sharp as the vinegar sold at a nearby stall. Now let's talk about Rome itself, because this city's the backdrop for Lucius's glowing dream. It's 150 BCE, and Rome's the ultimate flex. Think New York, Dubai, and Vegas mashed into one chaotic, chariot-filled sprawl. The Republic's flexing its muscles, conquering lands faster than you can scroll through a newsfeed. Consuls and senators are throwing lavish parties to show off, each trying to one-up the other with bigger statues or fancier feasts. You're dodging a cart piled with amphorae, the clay jugs clinking like a bad percussion band. This is the world Lucius wants to dazzle. Historians note that Rome's elite were obsessed with status. Think Instagram influencers, but with togas and no filters. Lucius's glowing paint. It's his shot at viral fame. But here's the weird bit, the kind of thing you won't find in your average history book. Lucius didn't just stumble on this idea during a wine-fueled epiphany. He was inspired by a creepy little fact. Some Mediterranean fish glow faintly when they die, their scales catching moonlight like tiny disco balls. Fishermen would tell tales of hauling nets that shimmered in the dark, and Lucius, ever the opportunist, overheard one at a dockside tavern. You're there with him, the air salty, the fisherman's voice gravelly as he describes the eerie glow. Lucius's eyes light up, not literally, but you get the vibe. He's thinking, if fish can glow, why not my walls? It's the kind of bonkers leap that makes you wonder if he was brilliant or just sleep-deprived. You're trailing him now as he heads to his villa, a sprawling estate on the Palatine Hill. The place is all marble and mosaics, but Lucius wants more, something to make his rivals choke on their stuffed dormice. You can feel the cool evening breeze as slaves light torches, their flames flickering like bad Wi-Fi signals. Lucius paces, sketching ideas on a wax tablet, probably looking like he's trying to solve a math problem in Comic Sans. The glow-in-the-dark paint isn't just about aesthetics, it's a power move. If he can pull this off, his name will echo through the forum, maybe even catch the eye of the consuls. You're starting to see why he's obsessed. This isn't just paint, it's his legacy. Historians still debate whether Lucius was driven by ego or genuine innovation. Some say he wanted to honor the gods with glowing temples. Others think he just wanted to flex on his neighbor Gaius, who keeps bragging about his imported peacocks. Either way, you're hooked, right? You're standing in his courtyard, the stars above twinkling like they're in on the plan. Lucius's slaves are scurrying, carrying jars of weird minerals he's collected, stuff that might just make his paint glow. You can smell the earthy tang of crushed stone and something faintly sulfurous. This is where it all begins, and you're right in the thick of it, watching a senator chase a dream that's equal parts genius and absurd. Let's see where this glowing obsession takes him next. You're still trailing Lucius Vaunus, the senator with a glow-in-the-dark dream, as he strides into the heart of Rome's political snake pit, the Senate. The air's thick with incense and tension, like a boardroom meeting crossed with a reality TV showdown. You're standing in the Curia, the Senate House, its marble walls echoing with pompous speeches and the occasional cough, probably from all the dust kicked up by toga-clad egos. Lucius is here to pitch his glowing paint idea, but not outright. Oh no, he's playing the long game, dropping hints like a TikTok teaser video. You can feel the weight of every word he chooses, each one calculated to spark curiosity without giving away the recipe. It's like watching someone pitch a startup to a room full of sharks who'd rather stab than invest. The Senate's a mess of power plays today. It's 150 BCE, and Rome's fresh off conquering Carthage. Think of it as the ancient world's version of winning the Super Bowl. Senators are strutting around, debating who gets credit for the victory or who'll snag the best governorships in the new territories. You're dodging a senator's flailing arm as he rants about grain taxes, his voice booming like a bad podcast host. Lucius, though, is quieter, his eyes scanning the room like he's playing Among Us and everyone's a potential imposter. He's not just here to talk war or taxes. He's planting seeds for his glowing paint to be the next big thing. You catch him whispering to a fellow senator about a marvel that'll light up Rome's nights. The guy raises an eyebrow, probably thinking Lucius has had too much Falanian wine. Now here, the odd bit you won't read in most history scrolls. Lucius wasn't the only one chasing glowy stuff. There was this obscure Roman cult, barely mentioned in records, that worshipped a minor deity called Nox, goddess of night. They used to smear their ritual stones with a weird paste made from crushed fireflies, believing it channeled divine light. You're picturing it now. A bunch of toga-wearing hippies in a cave rubbing bug goo on rocks and chanting. Lucius, ever the opportunist, got wind of this through a slave who'd seen one of their rituals. He didn't care about the goddess part, but the glowing paste. That got his brain whirring like an overclocked CPU. You're there as he scribbles notes, probably wondering if he can scale up firefly paste to coat his villa's walls. You're weaving through the Senate crowd now, the air heavy with the scent of sweat and ambition. Lucius is cornered by a rival, Gaius Marcellus. Remember that peacock-obsessed neighbor. Gaius is all smirks, asking Lucius why he's wasting time on parlor tricks when real men are planning conquests. You can practically taste the shade Gaius is throwing, sharp as a lemon vape. Lucius just smiles, smooth as a politician dodging a scandal, and says something about illuminating Rome's future. You're chuckling because it's such a flex. Lucius is basically saying, "Wait till you see my glow up, bro." Gaius storms off, probably to go yell at his slaves about something petty, like a misaligned mosaic tile. The Senate session drags on, and you're starting to feel the ache in your sandals from standing so long. Lucius slips out early, his mind clearly elsewhere. You follow him into the Roman dusk, the sky bruised purple, torches flickering like they're gossiping about the day's drama. He's heading to meet an alchemist, someone who might turn his glowing dream into reality. Historians still argue over whether Lucius was genuinely innovative or just a show-off with too much money. Some say he wanted to revolutionize Roman art. Others think he was just desperate to one-up Gaius's imported peacocks. Either way, you're hooked, watching him hustle through the streets, his toga catching the last rays of sunlight. You can smell the city's mix of smoke and herbs as he ducks into a narrow alley, where a flickering lamp hints at the alchemist's workshop. Whatever's brewing in there, it's about to light up Lucius's world, or burn it down. You're slinking through a shadowy Roman alley now, trailing Lucius Vaunus as he ducks into a cramped workshop that smells like a chemistry lab gone wrong. The air is thick with sulfur and something earthy, like wet clay mixed with desperation. This is the alchemist's lair, a cluttered den of clay pots, smoldering braziers and shelves stacked with jars of who knows what. You're standing behind Lucius, watching him haggle with a wiry old man named Crito, whose beard looks like it's hiding half of Rome's secrets. Crito's the guy Lucius bets can turn his glowing paint dream into reality, and you're here for the weird science show. It's like watching a YouTube tutorial for how to make glow sticks in 150 BCE, except with more togas and fewer safety warnings. The workshop's a mess. Think of it as a Roman version of a mad scientist's garage. You're dodging a spilled pile of crushed shells, their faint shimmer catching the lamplight like budget fairy dust. Crito's muttering about minerals from lands beyond the sea, grinding something that looks suspiciously like glowing fish guts into a paste. You can hear the pestle scraping against stone, a sound as soothing as nails on a chalkboard but oddly hypnotic. Lucius is all in, his eyes gleaming brighter than the stuff Crito's mixing. He's describing his vision, walls that glow like the moon, a villa that'll make Gaius's peacock palace look like a sad Aeobim. You're half expecting him to pull out a PowerPoint presentation, but instead, he's gesturing wildly, like he's pitching to a venture capitalist. Here's the strange bit most history buffs miss. Crito's not just using fish goo. There's this rare mineral barite that he swears glows faintly when mixed with certain oils. It's not quite radioactive, but you're standing there thinking, buddy, you're one bad batch from inventing toxic TikTok trends. Barite was hauled in from some sketchy mine in Hispania, and Crito claims it's the key to Lucius's glowing paint. You're watching him crush the stuff, the dust sparkling like it's auditioning for a fantasy movie. The Romans didn't know it, but barite's got this weird phosphorescent quirk. Leave it in sunlight, and it'll glow faintly at night. Lucius is eating this up, probably imagining his name etched in glowing letters across the forum. You're starting to feel the heat from a nearby brazier, its coals hissing like they're gossiping about Crito's weird experiments. Lucius tosses a coin purse onto the table, the clink loud enough to make you jump. Crito's eyes narrow, but he nods, promising to refine the formula. You're chuckling because this feels like a shady deal from a sci-fi flick, except it's Rome, and the stakes are glowing walls instead of laser guns. Lucius is so obsessed, he's probably dreaming in neon. But you can't help wondering, how's he going to scale this up without poisoning half the city? The guy's got ambition, sure, but his safety protocols are about as solid as a Roman chariot suspension. Historians still debate whether Crito was a genius or a con artist. Some say he was onto something revolutionary, maybe even laying the groundwork for later phosphorescent discoveries. Others think he was just fleecing Lucius with shiny rocks and big promises. You're watching them huddle over a glowing sample now, the faint green light flickering like a bad Wi-Fi signal. It's not much, but it's enough to make Lucius grin like he's just cracked the code to eternal fame. You're stepping back, the air heavy with the tang of minerals and ambition, as Lucius heads out into the night, his mind buzzing with plans. The streets of Rome are quiet now, but you know this glowing obsession is about to spark some serious drama. Let's see what happens when he takes this to the next level. You're trailing Lucius Vaunus through the torchlit streets of Rome, the night air cool and heavy with the scent of pine smoke and distant sea salt. He's not heading home, though. His steps are quick, purposeful, leading you to a quiet temple tucked away on the Aventine Hill. The place is small, its stone walls weathered but glowing faintly under the moonlight, as if they're in on Lucius's obsession. You're standing in the shadows, watching him slip inside, his toga catching on a cracked column like it's trying to hold him back. This isn't just a senator chasing a glow-in-the-dark gimmick anymore. It's personal, tied to something deeper, something ancient. You can feel the weight of it, like the moment before a plot twist drops in a late-night binge watch. Inside the temple, dedicated to Luna, goddess of the moon, the air's thick with myrrh and mystery. You're creeping closer, your sandals silent on the mosaic floor, where crescent moons and stars glitter in the flickering lamplight. Lucius is kneeling before a priestess, her voice low and melodic, like she's narrating an ASMR video for insomniacs. She's telling him about Roman myths that tie luminescence to divine favor, stories of gods painting the night sky with starlight to guide mortals. You're catching every word, and it's clear Lucius isn't just after fame. He wants his glowing paint to scream, "The gods love me best." It's like he's trying to brand himself as Rome's chosen influencer, complete with a celestial filter. Here's the weird bit that doesn't make it into most history lessons. The Romans had this obscure legend about a shepherd who found a glowing stone in a cave, supposedly blessed by Luna herself. The story goes that it lit his path home during a storm, and the village thought he'd been handpicked by the gods. You're picturing it now. Some guy in a sheepskin tunic, holding a rock that glows like a cheap glow stick, probably thinking he's the next big prophet. Lucius heard this tale from a traveling merchant and latched onto it like it was divine Wi-Fi. He's convinced his paint can channel that same sacred vibe, making his villa a beacon of godly approval. You're smirking because it's peak Roman drama, turning a fishy glow into a spiritual flex. You're watching Lucius now, his face lit by a single oil lamp as he whispers questions to the priestess. She's talking about rituals involving crushed pearls and rare herbs, stuff that supposedly amplifies light. You can smell the sharp tang of the herbs, like a fancy tea nobody asked for. Lucius is eating it up, scribbling notes on a wax tablet like he's prepping for a TED Talk. You're half expecting him to start chanting, but instead, he's calculating costs, muttering about importing more barite from Hispania. The guy's got the hustle of a startup bro, but with togas and no coffee. You're chuckling at the thought of him pitching Luna-approved paint to a room full of skeptical senators. The temple's quiet now, save for the soft drip of water from a cracked fountain. You're feeling the chill of the stone floor through your sandals, and it's grounding you in this strange moment. Lucius stands, his eyes gleaming with purpose, like he's just unlocked a cheat code for immortality. Historians still debate whether his obsession with glowing paint was spiritual or just a savvy marketing ploy. Some say he genuinely believed in the divine connection. Others think he was just capitalizing on Rome's love for spectacle. Either way, you're hooked, watching him step back into the night, his silhouette blending with the shadows. The city's asleep, but Lucius's mind is buzzing, and you know he's about to take this glowing dream to the streets. Let's follow him and see where this divine inspiration leads next. You're weaving through the bustling heart of Rome's marketplace, the Forum Boreum, where the air hums with the chaos of haggling merchants and the bleating of goats. It's early morning, the sun barely peeking over the rooftops, casting long shadows that dance across the cobblestones. You're right behind Lucius Vaunus, who's navigating the crowd like he's on a mission to win Black Friday. The scent of roasted chickpeas and sour wine hits you, mingling with the tang of fish from the Tiber nearby. Lucius is here to scope out the competition. his eyes darting to stalls selling trinkets that shimmer in the light, cheap imitations of his glowing dream. You can feel his ambition crackling, like static before a storm, as he mutters about making these vendors look like they're peddling dollar store junk. The marketplace is Rome's version of a pop-up flea market, but with more togas and fewer ironic t-shirts. You're dodging a cart loaded with amphorae, their clay surfaces gleaming like they've been polished for an Instagram shoot. Lucius stops at a stall where a wiry trader is hawking luminous beads that glow faintly under a top. They're probably just coated with that firefly paste you heard about. Remember those Nox cult weirdos? Lucius smirks, knowing his barite-based paint will blow these beads out of the water. You're chuckling because it's like watching a chef sneer at instant ramen. He's not just shopping. He's sizing up how his glowing paint will dominate this scene, turning every villa into a glowing billboard for his name. Here's the odd tidbit you won't find in most scrolls. Some traders in Rome were already experimenting with glow-in-the-dark stuff, not for art, but for practical scams. They'd smear fish oil mixed with crushed shells on fake sacred relics, selling them to gullible pilgrims as divine artifacts. You're picturing it now. A shady vendor whispering to a wide-eyed farmer about a holy stone that glows by Luna's grace, only for it to fade by morning. Lucius caught wind of this hustle through a tavern rumor and saw an opportunity, not to scam, but to legitimize the glow. His paint, he thinks, will be the real deal, something even the gods couldn't ignore. You're watching him haggle for a sample of the trader's beads, probably to reverse engineer their weak sauce formula. You're feeling the press of the crowd now, elbows brushing against you as a woman yells about overpriced olives. Lucius is in his element, charming a vendor with that senator swagger, all smooth words and calculated grins. He's dropping hints about a new marvel coming to Rome, and you can see the vendor's curiosity spark, like he's just heard about the next iPhone drop. Lucius is playing it cool, but you know he's itching to show off. You're grinning because this guy's basically inventing hype culture, Roman style. No influences needed, just a toga and a dream. The sun's climbing higher, warming your skin, and you're starting to sweat through your imaginary sandals. Historians still argue over whether Lucius's market visits were about inspiration or espionage. Some say he was genuinely studying the trade to perfect his paint. Others think he was just spying on competitors to crush them later. Either way, you're hooked, watching him slip away from the stall, clutching a small pouch of those glowing beads. The marketplace buzzes around you, alive with the clatter of coins and the shouts of a poet reciting something nobody asked for. Lucius is heading toward the Tiber now, probably to meet Crito, the alchemist, and tweak that glowing formula. You can smell the river's muddy tang as you follow, the city's pulse thrumming under your feet. This glowing paint is starting to feel like more than a gimmick. It's a game changer, and Lucius knows it. You're tailing Lucius Vaunus through the narrow, torchlit streets of Rome, the evening air sharp with the scent of burning pitch and roasted meat from a nearby tavern. The city's settling into its nighttime rhythm, but Lucius's pace is brisk, his toga flapping like a flag in a windstorm. You're dodging puddles of questionable origin, your sandals slipping on the uneven stones, as he heads toward a discreet villa on the Esquiline Hill. This isn't his place. It belongs to Gaius Marcellus, that peacock-obsessed rival who's been throwing shade like it's an Olympic sport. You're about to witness some serious Roman drama because Gaius and his cronies are plotting to dim Lucius's glowing dreams. The tension's thick, like the moment before a reality show elimination. Inside Gaius's villa, you're lurking in the shadows of a lavish courtyard, where fountains gurgle and jasmine perfumes the air. Gaius is holding court with a handful of senators, their wine cups glinting under lamplight like they're toasting to Lucius's downfall. You can hear their voices, low and venomous, as they mock his childish obsession with glowing paint. Gaius, with his smug grin, compares it to a slave's parlor trick. You're rolling your eyes because this guy's ego is bigger than a Colosseum souvenir shop. But beneath the snark, you sense real jealousy. Lucius's idea is catching whispers across Rome, and Gaius wants to steal the spotlight or snuff it out. You're close enough to smell the sour wine on their breath, and it's not exactly a 5-star vintage. Here's the quirky bit that rarely makes it into the history books. Roman senators didn't just compete with speeches or armies. They'd sabotage each other with petty tricks, like spreading rumors or spiking someone's wine with a laxative. You're picturing it now. Gaius slipping something into a rival's drink at a banquet, probably cackling like a discount villain. One of his allies, a Weasley senator named Quintus, suggests bribing Crito, Lucius's alchemist, to leak the glowing paint formula. Another proposes spreading a rumor that the paint is cursed by Nox, that firefly-loving goddess, to scare off Lucius's supporters. You're chuckling because it's like watching a Roman soap opera, complete with bad plotting and worse haircuts. Gaius loves the curse idea, his eyes glinting like he's just found the perfect meme to go viral. You're crouching behind a laurel bush now, the leaves prickling your skin as you eavesdrop. Gaius is pacing, his toga swishing dramatically, ranting about how Lucius's glowing paint could win him favor with the consuls, or worse, the emperor himself. You can feel the heat of their ambition, like a server room about to overheat. Lucius isn't even here, but his presence looms, his glowing idea a threat to their status quo. You're smirking because Gaius is acting like Lucius invented electricity, not just some glowy goop. But you get it. This paint could shift the power game, making Lucius the talk of Rome while Gaius is left flexing his peacocks to an empty crowd. Historians still debate whether Gaius's scheming was driven by pure envy or a legit fear of Lucius's influence. Some say he saw the paint as a political weapon, a way for Lucius to curry favor with the masses. Others think Gaius just hated losing the best villa contest. Either way, you're hooked, watching Gaius dismiss his cronies with a wave, their plans simmering like a pot of garum left too long on the fire. You slip out after Lucius, who's already halfway down the hill, oblivious to the plotting behind him. The night's quiet now, save for the distant bark of a dog and the soft clink of Lucius's coin purse. You can smell the city's mix of smoke and ambition as you follow, knowing this glowing dream is about to spark some serious trouble. You're swept up in the vibrant chaos of Rome's Ludi Romani, a festival that turns the city into a glittering spectacle of feasts, chariot races, and drunken revelry. The air buzzes with the scent of roasted boar, sweet wine, and the dusty sweat of 1,000 spectators. You're jostling through the crowd, your sandals grinding against the packed earth, as you follow Lucius Vaunus to the heart of the celebration. Tonight's the night he's chosen to unveil his glowing paint, and the anticipation crackles like static on a cheap blanket. You can see him ahead, standing tall in his finest toga, his face lit with a grin that says he's about to drop the mic on Rome's elite. This is his moment, and you're right there, feeling the pulse of the city like it's your own heartbeat. The festival's main event is unfolding near the Circus Maximus, where torches cast a golden glow over a makeshift stage draped in crimson cloth. You're pushing past a gaggle of giggling patricians, their jewelry clinking like a wind chime in a storm. Lucius has set up a massive panel painted with his glowing concoction, and as the sun dips below the horizon, it starts to shimmer, a soft, eerie green that makes the crowd gasp like they've just seen a magic trick on a viral video. You're close enough to smell the faint sulfur tang of the paint, mixed with the wax of nearby torches. Lucius steps forward, his voice booming like he's channeling a TED Talk host, proclaiming this a gift from Luna herself. You're chuckling because it's such a flex, calling out a goddess like she's his PR agent. Here's the strange detail that slips through the cracks of most histories. The Romans loved their festivals, but they also had a weird tradition of using bioluminescent algae during certain rituals, scooped from coastal lagoons and smeared on statues to make them glow. You're picturing it now. A priest slathering slimy goop on a Jupiter statue, probably muttering about divine vibes while everyone pretends it's not gross. Lucius, ever the opportunist, borrowed this idea but classed it up with his barite-based paint. His panel doesn't just glow, it holds the light longer, brighter, like a proto-neon sign screaming his name. You're watching the crowd's faces, lit by the eerie light, and you know this is more than a stunt. It's a power move that's got Gaius Marcellus fuming somewhere in the shadows. You're feeling the press of bodies now, the heat of the crowd making your tunic stick to your skin. Lucius is milking the moment, gesturing to his glowing panel like it's the eighth wonder of the world. A few senators clap politely, but you catch Gaius's scowl from across the plaza, his peacock energy thoroughly dimmed. You're smirking because this is peak Roman shade. Lucius didn't just bring a glow stick to a knife fight, he brought a whole light show. The crowd's buzzing, whispering about how Lucius's paint could adorn temples or light up the emperor's palace. You can hear a street vendor already trying to sell glowing trinkets, probably just more of that firefly paste scam. Historians still argue over whether Lucius's festival stunt was a stroke of genius or a desperate grab for attention. Some say it cemented his reputation as an innovator. Others think he was just peacocking harder than Gaius's actual peacocks. Either way, you're hooked, watching Lucius bask in the crowd's awe, his toga catching the glow like he's the star of his own movie. The festival's music swells, flutes and lyres clashing like a bad cover band, as you slip through the throng, following Lucius as he heads toward a quieter corner. The night's alive with possibility, and you can smell the sweet victory in the air, mixed with the faint whiff of his paint's mineral tang. Lucius is riding high, but you know Gaius isn't done scheming. You're creeping through the dead of night now, the Roman streets hushed except for the occasional clatter of a distant cart or the bark of a stray dog. The air's cool, carrying the faint scent of olive oil lamps and the Tiber's muddy breath. You're following Lucius Vaunus, who's slipped away from the festival's glow, to a secluded warehouse near the river, its walls crumbling like a budget-haunted house. This is where he's hiding his real work, secret experiments to perfect his glowing paint, far from Gaius's prying eyes. You're ducking under a sagging awning, your heart thumping as you catch the flicker of a lamp inside. It's like sneaking into a speakeasy, except instead of jazz, it's the hum of Lucius's obsession, buzzing like a neon sign about to short circuit. Inside, the warehouse is a chaotic lab, with clay jars spilling over tables and the sharp tang of minerals stinging your nose. You're standing in the shadows, watching Lucius and Crito, the alchemist, hunched over a glowing slurry that looks like it could star in a sci-fi B-movie. They're mixing barite with some sketchy powder from Parthia. Think of it as the ancient world's version of ordering sketchy chemicals off the dark web. The stuff glows a sickly green, brighter than the festival panel, and you can feel the heat from a nearby brazier, its coals hissing like they're judging the whole operation. Lucius's face is lit up, not just by the paint, but by that wild, I'm gonna be famous grin. You're chuckling because he's basically a Roman mad scientist, minus the lab coat but with extra toga swagger. Here's the weird detail that doesn't pop up in most history texts. The Parthian powder. It's not just some random spice. It's a rare mineral called willemite, traded along the Silk Road and rumored to glow under certain conditions. You're picturing it now. Camel caravans hauling sacks of this stuff across deserts, probably with some merchant swearing it's blessed by the stars. Lucius got his hands on it through a shady deal with a Greek trader who claimed it was used in Persian temples to spook worshippers. You're watching Crito sprinkle the powder into the mix, the glow intensifying like someone cranked the brightness on a cheap phone screen. It's not perfect, but it's closer to Lucius's dream of a paint that'll outshine the moon. You're edging closer, the floor gritty under your sandals as Lucius mutters about scaling up production. He's got plans to coat entire rooms, maybe even a temple, but you're noticing the strain in his eyes, too many late nights sniffing mineral dust, probably. You're smirking because this feels like a startup crunch, except instead of coding an app, he's grinding rocks to flex on his rivals. Crito's muttering warnings about the powder's fumes, but Lucius waves him off, too obsessed to care. You can smell the acrid bite of the mix, like a chemistry set gone rogue, and you're half expecting them to blow the roof off this place. Historians still debate whether Lucius's secret experiments were reckless genius or just plain reckless. Some say he was on the verge of a breakthrough that could have changed Roman art. Others think he was chasing a pipe dream that poisoned him before it paid off. Either way, you're hooked, watching the glowing, slurry pulse in the lamplight, casting eerie shadows on the walls. Lucius is packing up now, his wax tablet scribbled with notes, as Crito douses the brazier, plunging the room into near darkness. You're slipping out behind him, the night air a relief after the warehouse's stuffy haze. The city's asleep, but Lucius's glowing ambition is burning brighter than ever, and you know it's about to draw some serious attention, wanted or not. You're trailing Lucius Vaunus through the golden haze of a Roman afternoon, the air thick with the scent of sun-warmed stone and blooming oleander. The Palatine Hill looms ahead, its grand palaces gleaming like they're showing off for the gods. You're dodging a litter carried by sweating slaves, their grunts mixing with the distant hum of the city, as Lucius heads toward the emperor's residence. Word of his glowing paint has reached the top, and now the emperor himself, Nero, no less, wants a piece of the action. You can feel the stakes rising, like the moment before a plot twist in a prestige drama. Lucius's toga is pristine, but his clenched jaw betrays nerves. After all, impressing Nero is like pitching to a CEO who might set you on fire if he's bald. The emperor's palace is a maze of marble and mosaics, the air heavy with incense and the faint clink of gold cups. You're slipping in behind Lucius, your sandals silent on polished floors that reflect torchlight like a glossy magazine spread. Nero's lounging on a couch, his eyes glinting with curiosity and a hint of menace, like a cat sizing up a shiny toy. Lucius is pitching hard, describing glowing murals that'll make the palace a beacon of divine splendor. You're chuckling because it's like watching a startup bro hype an NFT to a skeptical investor, except with more lyre music in the background. Nero's intrigued, leaning forward, his fingers drumming on a table inlaid with mother of pearl. You can smell the sweet wine on his breath, and it's giving you second-hand buzz. Here's the odd bit that doesn't make it into most history scrolls. Nero wasn't just into music and murder. He had a weird obsession with light effects, once staging a banquet lit entirely by glowing seashells imported from Egypt. You're picturing it now. A room full of drunk patricians squinting at shells that barely glowed, probably thinking it was the height of chic. Lucius knows this, so he's tailored his pitch to Nero's ego, promising paint that'll make those shells look like dollar store glow sticks. He unveils a small clay pot of his latest batch, the glow a vivid green that dances in the dim light. You're close enough to feel the faint heat from the pot, and the crowd, senators, courtiers, and a few curious slaves, gasps like they're at a magic show. Even Nero raises an eyebrow, which is basically a standing ovation from him. You're standing near a column, the cool marble grounding you as Lucius gestures wildly, promising to coat an entire wing of the palace. Nero's nodding, but you catch a flicker of greed in his eyes. He's not just thinking decor. He's imagining propaganda, a way to dazzle the plebs and cement his divine status. You're smirking because Lucius is playing a dangerous game, like posting a viral tweet knowing the trolls are watching. Gaius Marcellus is here too, skulking in the back, his peacock energy replaced by a scowl that could curdle milk. You can practically hear his teeth grinding as Lucius basks in Nero's attention. The air's electric, charged with ambition and the faint sulfur whiff of the glowing paint. Historians still debate whether Nero's interest was genuine or just a whim to one-up his rivals. Some say he saw Lucius's paint as a tool to cement his legacy. Others think he just liked shiny things and got bored fast. Either way, you're hooked, watching Lucius navigate this high-stakes moment, his voice steady despite the sweat beading on his brow. The palace feels alive, its walls practically humming with intrigue, as Nero dismisses the crowd with a lazy wave. You're slipping out behind Lucius, the city sprawling below, its rooftops catching the last rays of sunlight. The scent of jasmine lingers as you follow him down the hill, his steps lighter now, buoyed by Nero's approval. But you know Rome's game. Success like this always comes with a shadow, and Gaius is probably already sharpening his knives. You're skulking through the moonlit streets of Rome, the air cool and heavy with the scent of damp stone and fading festival fires. The city's quieter now, but danger hums beneath the surface, like static on an old radio. You're trailing Lucius Vaunus, who's hurrying toward his villa, his toga catching the moonlight as he glances over his shoulder. Word of Nero's interest in his glowing paint has spread faster than a viral TikTok, and you can feel the weight of betrayal lurking in the shadows. Someone close to Lucius has sold him out, and you're about to find out who. The tension's thick, like the moment before a plot twist in a noir thriller, and you're right in the thick of it, your sandals silent on the cobblestones. You slip into Lucius's villa, where the courtyard is lit by flickering oil lamps, their light dancing on the mosaic floor like a low-budget disco. Lucius is pacing, his face tight with worry, as he confers with Crito, the alchemist, and a trusted freedman named Marcus. You're hiding behind a laurel bush, the leaves prickling your skin, as you overhear Marcus's nervous whisper. He's heard rumors that Gaius Marcellus has the paint formula. You're gasping because this is betrayal with a capital B. Someone's leaked Lucius's recipe, and Marcus thinks it's Crito. The alchemist's face pales, his beard twitching like it's trying to defend itself. You're chuckling quietly because this drama's juicier than a Real Housewives reunion, except with togas and no confessional interviews. Here's the strange detail that slips past most historians. Roman betrayals weren't always about gold or power. Sometimes they were personal, rooted in petty grudges. Marcus, it turns out, was once Gaius's slave, freed years ago but still bitter about a flogging he took for spilling wine. You're picturing it now. Marcus, young and humiliated, swearing revenge while Gaius laughed over his peacocks. Now Marcus is Lucius's right-hand man, but Gaius has been whispering promises of wealth, maybe even a villa to flip him. You're watching Marcus fidget, his fingers twisting a ring as he swears loyalty to Lucius, but his eyes dart like he's auditioning for a spy movie. The glowing paint formula, scribbled on a wax tablet, is somewhere in this villa, and you're betting Marcus knows exactly where. You're feeling the chill of the night now, the air sharp with the scent of rosemary from the garden. Lucius is grilling Crito, demanding to know who's been in the warehouse. Crito's stammering, swearing he's loyal, but you notice he's avoiding Marcus's gaze. The tension's so thick you could cut it with a gladius, and you're smirking because Lucius is too focused on his glowing dream to see the snake in his own house. You're imagining him finding out, probably throwing a toga tantrum that go viral in modern Rome. The lamps flicker, casting long shadows that make Marcus look guiltier by the second. You're close enough to smell the wax on Lucius's tablet, mixed with the faint sulfur of the paint samples he's clutching. Historians still debate whether Marcus was the real traitor or just a convenient scapegoat. Some say he sold the formula to Gaius for a fat purse. Others think Crito was the leak, too greedy to resist Gaius's bribes. Either way, you're hooked, watching Lucius storm off to check his secret stash, his footsteps echoing in the courtyard. You're slipping out behind him, the night air wrapping around you like a cloak. The city's asleep, but the game of betrayal is wide awake, and you know Lucius's glowing ambition is about to hit a serious snag. The stars above twinkle like they're in on the secret, and you're ready to follow this drama to its next twist. You're swept into the roaring heart of the Colosseum, or rather, its smaller, scrappier ancestor, the amphitheater of 150 BCE, where Rome's bloodlust and spectacle collide like a reality show finale. The air's thick with the scent of sweat, dust, and cheap wine, the crowd's cheers shaking the wooden stands like an overzealous subwoofer. You're jostling through the throng, your tunic catching on a splintered bench, as you follow Lucius Varnus to his moment of triumph. Tonight, he's unveiling his glowing paint on a grand scale, coating a massive banner that shimmers over the arena like a proto-billboard ad. You can feel the energy, electric as a sold-out concert, and Lucius is riding the high, his toga crisp despite the chaos. This is his shot to cement his fame, and you're right there, soaking in the madness. The arena's alive with gladiators clashing below, their swords glinting under torchlight, but all eyes are on Lucius's banner. It's stretched across a wooden frame, glowing a vivid green that cuts through the dusk like a neon dream. You're close enough to smell the faint mineral tang of the paint, mixed with the earthy grit of the arena floor. The crowd gasps, then roars as the glow pulses brighter, a trick of barite and Parthian powder that makes it look like Luna herself signed off on it. Lucius stands on a platform, waving like he's Rome's answer to a rock star, and you're chuckling because this guy basically invented the ancient equivalent of a Super Bowl halftime show. Gaius Marcellus is somewhere in the stands, probably choking on his own envy like it's a bad olive. Here's the quirky detail that doesn't make it into most history scrolls. Roman spectacles weren't just about blood and guts. They sometimes featured bizarre special effects to wow the plebs, like releasing dyed birds or flooding the arena for mock naval battles. You're picturing it now. A flock of blue-painted doves flapping into the sunset, probably confusing everyone below. Lucius's glowing banner is the next level of this showmanship, turning a standard gladiator match into a light show that make modern festival planners jealous. He's timed it perfectly, the glow peaking as the sun vanishes, and you can hear whispers of divine favor rippling through the crowd. It's a flex so bold it's practically screaming, "Top that Gaius!" You're feeling the press of the crowd now, bodies packed tight, the air hot with excitement and the occasional whiff of unwashed toga. Lucius is milking the moment, his voice booming over the din as he dedicates the display to Rome's eternal glory. You're smirking because it's less about Rome and more about his own ego, but the plebs are eating it up, chanting his name like he's dropped the hottest mixtape of 150 BCE. Even Nero's envoy, a dour-faced official, nods approvingly from a shaded box, which is basically a Michelin star for Lucius's ambition. You're dodging a spilled cup of wine, its sticky splash grazing your sandal, as you watch Gaius slink away, his face darker than the unlit corners of the arena. Historians still debate whether Lucius's Colosseum stunt was a cultural milestone or just a flashy PR grab. Some say it redefined how Romans used spectacle to wield influence. Others think he was just a show-off with a knack for shiny things. Either way, you're hooked, watching the glowing banner pulse like a heartbeat, its light casting eerie shadows on the cheering faces. Lucius is descending the platform now, his grin wider than the Tiber, as slaves scurry to guard the banner from overeager fans. You're slipping through the crowd, the night air cooling your skin as you follow him out of the amphitheater. The city's buzzing with his name, the scent of victory mingling with the dust and wine. Lucius is on top, but you know Rome's game. Glory like this always comes with a catch. You're trailing Lucius Varnus through the dim streets of Rome, the night air heavy with the scent of cooling stone and distant wood smoke. The Colosseum's cheers still echo in your ears, but the mood's shifted. Lucius's steps are slower, his shoulders hunched like he's carrying more than just his toga. You're slipping past a shuttered tavern, the faint clink of cups lingering as you follow him to his villa. The glow of his recent triumph is fading, and you can sense the toll of his obsession with the glowing paint. His face, lit by a flickering torch, looks gaunt, like he's been mainlining ambition instead of sleep. You're right there, feeling the weight of his dream, heavy as a Roman shield, and it's clear the cost of this brilliance is starting to show. Inside his villa, the courtyard is quiet, save for the soft trickle of a fountain and the occasional chirp of a cricket. You're standing in the shadows, watching Lucius slump onto a stone bench, his hands trembling as he sips watered wine. The air's thick with the mineral tang of his paint, samples of it glowing faintly on a nearby table like forgotten party favors. Crito's there too, looking more frazzled than usual, his beard practically vibrating with worry as he warns Lucius about the Parthian powder. You're catching whiffs of it now, sharp and acrid, like a chemistry experiment gone rogue. Lucius's coughs are more frequent, his eyes red-rimmed, probably from nights spent huffing toxic fumes in that warehouse. You're chuckling quietly because this guy's basically a Roman TikToker chasing clout at the expense of his lungs. Here's the strange detail that slips through the cracks of most histories. The Romans weren't clueless about toxic substances. They knew lead was bad but still used it in pipes and makeup, like they were daring fate to a duel. You're picturing it now. A patrician lady slathering lead-based cream on her face, thinking it's high fashion while her health tanks. Lucius's paint, with its barite and willemite mix, isn't much safer. Those Parthian powders release fumes that make an OSHA inspector faint. Crito's been warning him about vapors that steal breath, but Lucius brushes it off, too obsessed with his glowing legacy to care. You're watching him dab a glowing sample on his finger, the green light making his skin look ghostly, and you're thinking, buddy, you're one bad batch from glowing in all the wrong ways. You're feeling the cool night air now, a relief after the stuffy courtyard as Lucius paces, muttering about Nero's palace and temples yet to be painted. His ambitions burning brighter than ever, but his body's betraying him. Each cough sounds like a warning bell. You're smirking because it's like watching a startup CEO ignore burnout for one last pitch, except Lucius's pitch could literally kill him. Crito's pleading now, suggesting they dilute the formula, but Lucius snaps, his voice hoarse, saying Rome demands perfection. You can smell the wax of his tablet where he scribbled plans for grander displays, and the faint sulfur of the paint, a reminder of the price he's paying. Historians still debate whether Lucius's decline was due to the paint's toxins or just the stress of Roman politics. Some say he was poisoned by his own creation, a victim of his own genius. Others think Gaius's schemes wore him down mentally. Either way, you're hooked, watching Lucius stumble to his feet, determination etched into his tired face. He's heading to his study, probably to tweak the formula again, as Crito shakes his head like a disappointed parent. You're slipping out into the night, the city's quiet hum wrapping around you like a blanket. The stars above seem to mock Lucius's fading glow, but you know he's not done yet. His ambition's too stubborn to quit. You're wandering through the sunlit streets of Rome, the air warm with the scent of blooming laurel and freshly baked bread from a nearby stall. The city's alive, its pulse thrumming through the chatter of merchants and the clatter of chariots. You're following Lucius Vaunus, who's weaker now, his steps slower, but his eyes still burn with that stubborn glow of ambition. He's leading you to a newly built temple on the Capitoline Hill, its marble facade gleaming like it's trying to impress Jupiter himself. This is where Lucius's glowing paint has found a permanent home, etched into sacred walls as a testament to his vision. You're feeling the weight of his triumph, heavy as a Roman coin, but there's a shadow to it, like a storm cloud creeping over a festival. The temple, dedicated to Juno, is a masterpiece of columns and friezes, and Lucius's paint adorns its inner sanctum. You're stepping inside, the air cool and heavy with incense, as sunlight filters through high windows, catching the glowing murals. They shimmer in soft greens and blues, depicting Juno's celestial court, the paint glowing brighter as the light fades, like a divine Instagram filter. You're close enough to smell the faint mineral tang of the paint, mixed with the wax of votive candles. Priests murmur prayers, their voices low and reverent, while visitors gasp at the walls, whispering about miracles. You're chuckling because Lucius has turned a temple into his personal art gallery, and it's working. His name, S on every tongue, even if his coughs echo louder than before. Here's the odd detail that slips past most history scrolls. Roman temples often used rare materials to signal divine favor, like gold leaf or imported porphyry. But glowing paint was a new flex. You're picturing it now. A priest explaining to a wide-eyed pilgrim that Juno herself blessed the glowing walls, probably while Lucius smirked in the background. The paint's formula, tweaked with that Parthian willemite, holds its glow longer than any firefly paste or algae smear, making it a sensation. Lucius funded part of the temple's construction, a savvy move to cement his legacy in stone and light. You're watching a young priestess trace the glowing mural with her finger, her awe as genuine as a kid seeing fireworks for the first time. You're feeling the cool marble under your sandals now, grounding you as you watch Lucius linger near the altar, his face pale but proud. He's coughing again, a dry rasp that makes a nearby slave glance over with concern. You're smirking because Lucius is like a rock star who keeps touring despite a failing voice, too stubborn to quit. The temple's visitors don't notice his frailty. They're too busy marveling at the glowing walls, whispering about how Lucius has captured starlight. Gaius Marcellus is nowhere in sight, probably sulking in his peacock palace, and you're grinning at the thought of his jealousy burning hotter than a Roman forge. The air is thick with reverence and the faint sulfur of the paint, a reminder of the cost Lucius paid for this moment. Historians still debate whether Lucius's temple project was a selfless gift to the gods or a calculated bid for immortality. Some say he wanted to honor Juno and Rome. Others think he just wanted his name carved into history before his health gave out. Either way, you're hooked, watching Lucius slip out of the temple, his toga catching a stray beam of sunlight. The city sprawls below, its rooftops glinting like they're cheering him on. You're following him down the hill, the scent of incense clinging to your clothes as the temple's glow lingers in your mind. Lucius's legacy is shining bright now, but you know Rome's a city of shadows, and his rivals aren't done plotting. You're trailing Lucius Vaunus through the twilight streets of Rome, the air cool and sharp with the scent of rain-soaked stone and distant olive groves. The city's settling into a restless hush, but there's a storm brewing, not in the sky, but in the whispers of betrayal circling Lucius like vultures. You're dodging puddles, your sandals squelching softly, as he hurries toward the forum, his face drawn and paler than the marble statues looming nearby. His glowing paint has made him a legend, but now Gaius Marcellus and his cronies are striking back, exploiting the paint's flaws to dim Lucius's star. You're feeling the tension, tight as a lyre string, and you're right in the thick of it, watching his empire of light start to crack. You arrive at the forum, where crowds gathered under flickering torches, their murmurs buzzing like a swarm of annoyed bees. Gaius is there, standing on a rostrum, his voice dripping with fake concern as he holds up a clay pot of Lucius's paint. You're close enough to smell the sour wine on the crowd's breath, mixed with the faint sulfur tang of the paint. Gaius claims the glow fades too fast, leaving walls dull and disappointing, and worse, some say it's making people sick. You're chuckling bitterly because this is Roman shade at its finest, like a bad Yelp review meant to tank a business. Gaius's cronies are spreading rumors that the paint's cursed fumes angered Juno, and you can see the crowd's mood shift. They're all turning to suspicion. Here's the quirky detail that doesn't make it into most history scrolls. Roman gossip could ruin a man faster than a lost battle, and Gaius is a master at it. You're picturing it now. His lackeys whispering in taverns about haunted paint, probably while passing around watered-down wine. The truth: Lucius's paint, with its Parthian willemite and barite mix, does release faint fumes, nothing deadly, but enough to make sensitive noses sneeze. Gaius's team got hold of a bad batch, likely from Marcus's betrayal, and they're milking it to paint Lucius as a reckless hack. You're watching a merchant in the crowd clutch his throat dramatically, claiming the paint gave him a cough, and you're smirking because it's peak Roman theater, half the guys probably faking for a free amphora of wine. You're standing near a column now, the cool marble grounding you as Lucius steps forward to defend himself. His voice is hoarse, each word a struggle, but he's still got that senator swagger, calling Gaius's claims the lies of a jealous peacock. You're grinning because it's a solid burn, but the crowd's not fully buying it. Gaius's rumors have taken root. You can feel the air shift, heavy with doubt and the damp chill of approaching rain. Lucius holds up his own pot of paint, its glow steady and bright, but a cough cuts him off mid-speech, and you wince, knowing it's the Parthian powder's fault. Gaius smirks from the rostrum, his toga pristine, like he's just won a round of Roman Survivor. Historians still debate whether Gaius's attack was a masterstroke of sabotage or just lucky timing with a flawed formula. Some say he orchestrated the whole scandal to crush Lucius's influence. Others think the paint's issues were real, and Gaius just fanned the flames. Either way, you're hooked, watching Lucius stumble off the rostrum, his face a mix of defiance and exhaustion. The crowd disperses, their whispers trailing like smoke, as you follow him into the night. The city's lights flicker, dimmer now, mirroring Lucius's fading glow. You're smelling the rain on the air, mingling with the faint mineral scent of his paint as he heads toward his villa. His dream's still alive, but it's hanging by a thread, and you know the final act is coming. You're drifting through the quiet streets of Rome, the night air soft and heavy with the scent of damp earth and fading jasmine. The city's asleep, its usual clamor softened to a murmur, like a lullaby sung by the Tiber itself. You're following Lucius Vaunus, his silhouette barely visible in the moonlight, as he shuffles toward his villa on the Palatine Hill. His steps are slow, each one heavy with the weight of a dream that's slipping away. The glow of his paint, once a beacon of his ambition, is fading from Rome's memory, and you're right there, feeling the ache of his story winding down. The stars above twinkle faintly, as if they're whispering goodbye to his light. Inside his villa, the courtyard is still. The fountains trickle, the only sound breaking the silence. You're standing in the shadows, watching Lucius slump onto a bench, his toga crumpled like a discarded script. The air carries the faint mineral tang of his glowing paint, but the samples on a nearby table glow weakly now, like tired fireflies. His coughs are softer but more frequent, each one a reminder of the Parthian powder's toll. You're picturing him at the height of his glory. Remember that Colosseum banner, dazzling the crowd like a Roman rock star. Now, he's a shadow of that man, his eyes distant, lost in thoughts of what might have been. You're chuckling softly because even now, he's probably dreaming up one last glowing stunt. Here's the strange detail that fades from most history scrolls. Roman legacies weren't just about statues or scrolls. Sometimes they lingered in small, overlooked ways. You're imagining it now. A forgotten temple corner, where a patch of Lucius's paint still glows faintly, noticed only by a lone priestess at dawn. His formula, though flawed, inspired later alchemists, who tweaked it for less toxic glows used in obscure rituals. Gaius Marcellus won the public battle, his rumors dimming Lucius's star, but whispers of the glowing senator persisted in taverns, like a ghost story told over too much wine. You're watching Lucius trace a finger over a glowing smudge on his tablet, his face soft with a tired smile, as if he knows his light hasn't fully vanished. You're feeling the cool night air now, wrapping around you like a gentle hug as Lucius rises, his movements slow but deliberate. He shuffles to his study, where a single lamp casts a warm glow, softer than his paint ever was. You're close enough to smell the wax of his tablets, mixed with the faint sulfur of his experiments. He's writing something, maybe a letter, maybe a final note to Crito, his hand trembling but steady enough to leave a mark. You're smirking because it's like watching a faded influencer post one last story, hoping it'll stick. The city outside hums faintly, its rhythm soothing, as if Rome itself is easing Lucius into rest. Historians still debate whether Lucius's fall was his own fault or Gaius's scheming. Some say the paint's flaws and his failing health doomed him. Others think Gaius's rumors were a dagger too sharp to dodge. Either way, you're hooked, watching Lucius set down his stylus, his eyes closing as he leans back. The villa's quiet now, the lamp's glow fading like a sunset. You're slipping out, the night air cool and kind, as Rome's lights blur into a soft haze. Lucius's story is fading, his glow a memory, but it's peaceful, like a candle burning low. The world softens now, the edges of Rome blurring into a gentle haze like a painting left in the rain. You're floating away from Lucius's villa, the city's hum fading to a whisper, as soft as a breeze through olive branches. The stars above seem to wink, each one a tiny echo of his glowing dream carrying it into the night. You're safe here, wrapped in the calm of a story told, your breath slowing, your eyelids heavy. Let the weight of the day slip away, like sand through your fingers, and drift into the quiet. You've walked with Lucius, seen his light rise and fade, and now it's time to rest. Close your eyes, let the world dissolve, and sink into the peace waiting just beyond.